Hi. Hola, mujer poderosa. Before anything else, I want you to know I see you. I know what it's like to carry our families, our culture, and an I-1 headset on our shoulders at the same time. I am Josephine Rios, founder of Latinas of 911, and tonight my co host will be my wife, Jennifer Rios. It's important to add our families, I always feel, in our line of work. It's part of wellness and understanding for what we do to include them also, not leave them out. So thank you, honey, for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. So the reason I wanted to do Cafecito de Conversaciones is to just pretty much start out and letting you know how I'm doing with Latinas of 911, where I am, where I wanted to go. Right now, I started as an LLC 2 years ago, and we were able to offer webinars, tuitions from other sources for professional development. And we were also able to offer a scholarship for the Florida APCO conference for a Latina to attend to, which was Hillary. She's doing great. She actually also was able to go to the wellness that Dr. Joe Sirio's wellness camp that he did not so long ago in Texas. So that was great. So she's doing great things as well outside 911. She has, if I'm not mistaken, I think she has a business also that she does on the side. And I think it's very important for us to come together and learn from others like ourselves. You know, it's hard already as it is based on our backgrounds, being bilingual, our culture. It's sometimes you don't get, understood from others. And I lacked mentorship when I started, and I didn't get mentored till later on into my career. So I feel it was very important for me to be able to do that for other Hispanic females in this profession. So they don't have to wait 10 years for someone to see their value. And if they want to go and connect with others that can pretty much take them to where they want to go in the future. We do have a website, latinasofnine1.com, which I sell our t-shirts to help bring education opportunities to other Hispanic females. I do have options of stickers that I've created that are there as well, $2 a piece. So anything helps at the time. Right now I'm in an LLC, I'm a small business, and my hope is to eventually turn it into a nonprofit so I can help more in a major scope. But with that, I would need other Hispanic females as well. I would need to set up a board. So it does take more time. And it's something that I would want to do with trusted individuals as well. Okay. So today's just coffee talk. I'm just going to go ahead and, like, I introduced myself and anyone that's joined, which we have today. Charlie, hi, how are you? Okay, so another thing why I am very passionate about, I want to talk about is mental health. So I had challenges. I want to say I faced burnout in my career around the 3 year mark. Around that 3 year mark is when I started having burnout. I also had issues with toxic environment, which amplified already the burnout. And instead of, I guess, me seeking help, I ended up being part of the problem. Um, I was very angry for a long time. I started seeing the new hires eat your young, they say a lot. So I was one of those people for a while. And it took, I guess, a time that I took for myself. And I started looking in pretty much my actions, my behavior. I seek therapy for my mental health, my depression that I had for a while. And once I started doing that, I kind of aligned my life to where I wanted it to go. So it's not picture perfect. I'm not great at all the time, but I do constantly work on that all the time. That is one thing that I always seek to do and help. I am the chair also for the Florida APCO Wellness, and I am very proud of the work that we're doing. We do offer a lot of free resources for other professionals for 911. So anyone's able to go to the Florida APCO chapter website and look up Wellness Committee. You'll view all of the materials we have there for 911 professionals. So I want to start out and also talk about mentorship. So Jennifer does not have a background in 911. Uh,
I do not.
my wife does mostly insurance work.
Yes, I do litigation.
Yes. So our professions are different.
Very.
I do think we have stresses, obviously, but ours are different. Working in a call center environment, so but also I understand that she does have stress. So just because I have a stressful day doesn't mean she cannot have a stressful day. So we kind of have to work with our partners also in understanding them, what they may be going through. So I feel like when I started my healing journey and all the wellness stuff that I learned, I try to also share that information with my wife to kind of help her um, whenever she can manage her stress levels and stuff. And she's kind of seen me in my growth process since I started Latinas. One important thing that I mentioned earlier was mentorship. So, with my mentor, I was able to learn about 911 Wonder Woman, about committee work through APCO and Nina. I had no idea. And like I said, I was, 10 years in, and I had no idea that you could do those things. Because in my organization, it's not really talked about. You don't really know. And if you're like me, you probably saw those emails and you were like, oh, that's not with me. Delete, 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 delete. Um, because you don't know any better. So that's why it's important for us to have these conversations, because we don't really have the someone we can talk to outside of our workplace other than our coworkers that are doing the same thing we're doing. They're not in different levels. We don't always have leaders that talk to us and mentor us either. So this is a great opportunity, and I also do committee work. I'm a volunteer for, like I said, Florida APCO. I also volunteer with Nina. I'm part of the WIN committee. They're doing great stuff, mentorship wise, also for women in 911. And I thought it was a great way for me to help and learn from other individuals in 911. So mentorship is very important. I also did attend a Women in 911 leadership course not too long ago in, or was it Weston?
Hmm.
It was last November. It was Women in Uniform retreat. So it was basically law enforcement wise, but they did invite communications operators and other civilian to come in and do the retreat, which I thought was great. One speaker was Major Peterson from BSO. She stated that she had mentors and she had more than one mentor. She was like, don't always think that the person that has to mentor you is a person that looks like you, talks like you. It could be outside of that. And I thought that was great advice because you usually want people that are doing great things in their lives and they're like, hey, I want to do that. How did they do that? So learn from those people. It doesn't have to be someone that looks like you. Um, and I think that's great. My mentor, Dominique, she's not Hispanic. um, she's a teacher. She was my training coordinator at the time, and she saw potential in me. And she was the one who would, and not just to me, she would give the information out to other communications training officers as well to learn the information out there. And she was like, "Hey, there's this, there's that. You guys could be doing." And she would resource the information. I looked it up, and then I thought, "Oh, this is so great. There's so many people out there that are helping 911 professionals outside your agencies." And I feel we get stuck a lot on that. I guess I want to say that we get stuck a lot on just our what we're doing, like the phones or like the radio side and the people we work with in our environments. So we don't see past that usually.
Mhm.
We don't see past the opportunities that we can do out there. Um,
You guys are hyper focused on what you're doing.
yeah, we're just hyper focused on what we're doing. We don't want to do more. We don't want to do less. And it's
Right.
usually like, well, they're not paying me for that, so I'm not going to do that. But I think it's you kind of lose by having that mentality because I've learned marketing techniques. I've learned stuff, a lot of stuff along the way that my wife has seen me do that I
Yes.
didn't. I had no experience in, like branding and
This is true.
webinars that I'm doing today with you guys. And this is stuff that you learn from other individuals, and you kind of lose that opportunity by setting yourself small. Yeah. So I just want you guys to try to like position yourself in somewhere you want to be or see yourself. So I'm gonna play a quick clip. This video is funny. I thought it resonated with me, with you.
Listen, I know that mental health is real. I'm just telling you my experience, which is that I was not allowed to have it. Me and my sister, we tried to get depression. When we were little, we tried to get it. We were like, Mommy, I'm depressed. And then she did like a rap. She did like a performance. We were like, Mommy, we're depressed. And she was like, You're depressed. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am your mother. And when I was 12 years old, I had to leave my country because the government took my house. And I had to go to the United States by myself. And I had to work 27 different jobs. And I had to go to sleep in a washing machine and wake up in a dryer. And I didn't have any friends, and I didn't have any money, and I didn't have any toys, and I didn't have any YouTube, and I didn't have any Netflix, and I didn't have any Amazon, and I didn't have any Hulu, and I didn't have any YouTube TV, and I didn't have any Toys R Us, and I didn't have any Fast Buy, and I didn't have any phone, and I didn't have anything. And then I had to learn to speak English, and I had to pay my way through college. And while I was doing that, I got pregnant with you. And then you got a little bit older and you wanted to do activities, and I had to pick you up and drop you off, pick you up and drop you off, pick you up and drop you off, and drop you off and pick you up, pick you up and drop you off, pick you up and drop you off, drop you off and pick you up and pick you up and drop you off, pick you up and drop you off, pick you up and drop you off, drop you off and pick you up and pick you up and drop you off and pick you up and drop you off, pick you up and drop you off. Sometimes I have to drop you off and then I have to wait. And then I pick you up and drop you off, and pick you up and drop you off, and pick you up and drop you off, and pick you up and drop you off, pick you up and drop you off, and pick you up and drop you off. So if anybody in this house is gonna have depression, it's gonna be me.
Oh, that was amazing.
I was watching him the other night, but I fell asleep.
But it's very true. Like how we grew up, like you weren't allowed to be upset or sad.
No.
My parents were both immigrants of Nicaragua. They came in the late 70s. Jennifer's parents
They
were
came
your
from
parents?
Cuba.
Yeah.
So
Right.
first generation Cuban. They came from Cuba in the late 60s. They both went to high school here, but they still had to learn English. Everything that he just went through in that rap, my parents did.
Yeah.
Multiple jobs, learning
Yeah.
English, having to do everything on their own. So no, there was no time for depression in our house. That didn't exist.
Exactly.
And even if you had it, it didn't matter. You had to keep moving forward. You had to keep going. There's no time for that. Nobody has time to be depressed in a Hispanic household.
Correct. You didn't have time for that because somebody had to go to work. You had to go to school. And your only concern was at least you have a roof over your head, you're fed.
Correct.
What are you whining about?
Well, because those were the major things that they had to leave behind or had to struggle with when they got here, not knowing where they were going to live, where that next meal was going to come from. So that's why to them that was the only thing that mattered. Which
we understand, but at the same time, it's kind of a conversation that I have all the time with you where I say it's just like my niece and nephews. They are growing up in a different mindset. They're also growing up privileged in the sense that they didn't have the childhood that we had. They get everything they want, and yes, they're growing up in social media world. Even though they don't have access to phones because my brother doesn't want them to. They're very young still. They're like 13 and 8. So, and I get it because there's a lot of stuff out there. And even us as adults, we should monitor more how many times we're, online, because that does also create mental health issues by all the stuff that we see online. But part of that, so it was kind of like a culmination for me. It was like I had childhood trauma that I dealt with, and then I had I was on my own at 18, so I had to deal with that. I was in a toxic relationship for 11 years, and people were like, "Well, the things that we hear on the phones. Oh, well, why are you still with a guy that beats you up, or why are you still with?" But if you have nowhere else to go, and that is your constant, you tend to stick to what you know because that's all you know. What am I going to do after that? I mean, I went through times where I slept in my car because that's all I could do at the time. So once I had stability in my life, it made such a difference. And it's hard also, once you have stability and peace, to want to jeopardize that or be somewhere where it's taking that away from you. I think that's very important also. Charlie, you're the only guest we have today. Are we boring you today? Please let me know in the chat if you can. I will be recording this, so this will be up later on for other viewers to see. And hopefully, I can have more guests come in, co-host with me. I dragged my wife to do it today with me.
You
Uh,
know, try.
yeah, but it's just a conversation. How we doing? Kind of check the pulse with everyone out there. And I thought this was a good time because technically, if I have people on different time zones, it would be, someone either going into work, getting out of work. I'm catching you right in that cusp. But obviously, anyone can see it after, so that's great. I have another video I want you guys to see, which is very true to where I am now in my life.
Have you ever noticed that the smarter you become, the lonelier you feel? It's a peculiar thing, isn't it? You'd think that intelligence would connect you to people, that seeing more, understanding more, would bring you closer to others. But it doesn't. Instead, it separates you. You walk into a room and everyone is laughing at something you don't find funny, talking about things that seem trivial, surface level, safe. And you smile, you nod, you play along, but inside, you're somewhere else entirely. You're thinking about the conversation beneath the conversation, the patterns no one mentions, the questions no one's asking. And suddenly, you realize you're alone. Not physically, but in every way that matters. This is the hidden cost of intelligence. The price. Have you ever?
Yeah, so I feel based on the journey where I am in this moment in my life, it's hard for me to kind of relate to certain things and with the people around me. So that's why I'm always saying, like, think of those things, of things outside of work. 'Cause sometimes that will help you if you're feeling burned out, stressed. If you're focusing on things that you're creating, building outside of work, it gives you a purpose. So we do help people, we either whether we're answering the phones or the officers on the other side of the radio or fire, EMS, and we're helping them. I think in me learning more outside the walls of what I do every day helped me give me a purpose and helped me find joy in the work that I do every day. And I think it's very easy for us to get complacent because everything we hear every day is, it's not, hey, how are you doing? How's your day going? It's, my house is on fire. My husband just hit me. My baby's not breathing. I just had a car accident. I had a rollover. It's never something great on the other end, and we already know that when we answer the phone. So it is hard not to get jaded in this profession, which I think it's also great. Like I said, all these other organizations that are coming up and are helping 911 professionals, and we're out there communicating with you and the world what's available to you. So if you don't know, now you know. So you don't have an excuse of, well, I didn't know. Now you know. Trying to think. Oh, there is another thing I wanted to share that I thought was great. That APCO EMDR. They just released um, this media post. I don't know if you guys read it. I'm going to read it with you. It's APCO International EMDR-IA and NINA partner on new EMDR course targeting public safety communications professional. It came out January 8th. We're pretty much APCO NINA partnered with EMDR International Association to develop a course of EMDR therapy specifically focused on the 911 profession, and is a professional association that promotes, fosters, preserves the highest standard of excellence, integrity, and eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing therapy, which is great. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that a lot of the professionals behind it that helped with facilitate this program, it was Jim Marshall, clinician Jim Marshall with 91 Institute, Training Institute, excuse me, and also Shannon Polito, which is Help for the Headset. And I want to say they assisted in creating this course, which is great. Other professionals that are out there helping us. In Florida, we're still not considered in the special risk classification, which is something we're still meddling with the state of Florida. There are some states that do consider their 911 professionals first responders. We are still not categorized in that. And it's interesting because they did pass a bill where we fall under the peer support assistance, like police officers, 911 professionals do, but they still don't want to recognize us as first responders, which is a challenge. Hopefully, Ron DeSantis, Governor, how you doing? If you're seeing this or somebody shows you this, think of us, please. Pretty please. We do a lot. I mean, you can always visit these emergency centers. I'm just saying, sir. We do a lot of work. We got to work hurricanes. We got to work in mass casualties. We're working all of that. We don't get to go home and just be like, 911, they'll figure it out. Oh, it's a hurricane. No, we get to go home. Nobody's going to call 911. No, we still get calls, even during the hurricanes. Let's see. I think I've said everything I've needed to say today.
It's a good job.
Yeah, I think I've hit my mark. I obviously thought, we would have more people tuned in, but
it happens. It's Monday.
There'd be back and forth, but I understand. We all got to work. I don't have to work today, thankfully, which is why I'm doing it. And yes, I am having coffee. I don't have to work tomorrow. So thank you, Charlie, for joining us today. You were my participant of the day. Thank you, everyone who joined us. And I will see you guys next month for another Cafecito conversation. Hopefully, I have a new co-host for you. Thank you.
Right.